Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Will you definitively veto that resolution that was introduced today that would block your national emergency if it passes?
On the wall?
Yes.
Will I veto it? 100%. 100%. And I don't think it survives a veto. We have too many smart people that want border security, so I can't imagine it could survive a veto, but I will veto it, yes.
Okay, so there you have it. The 12 Republicans who said, go ahead and veto it. It's the only way you're going to get your money. It's the only way we're going to give you the power to take the power away from Congress to spend money. You know, for years I've told you the president can't spend a nickel. This is what he's trying to undo, right? So the 12 who said no were Susan Collins of Maine, Rob Portman of Ohio, Lamar Alexander of Tennessee, Roy Blunt of Missouri, Mike Lee in Utah, who we opened the show with. That was Mike Lee on the Senate floor. And the reason why Mike Lee voted no to, he voted not to give the president emergency powers is because he had introduced an alternative bill that would let the president declare a national emergency, but that he would have to renew it every 30 days. Okay. And that failed. So Mike Lee is a no. Jerry Moran of Kansas was a no. Lisa Murkowski of Alaska was a no. Rand Paul of Kentucky, because he said it violates everything that his soul cries out for, which is no government, right? Mitt Romney was a no. Marco Rubio of Florida is a no. Patrick Toomey of Pennsylvania is a no. And believe it or not, from Mississippi, Roger Wicker told the president, I'm not giving you the power of the purse. Now, here's what others actually, I got to tell you, last night, I don't know if anybody reported on this because I haven't heard anything, but last night, Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, and Ben Sasse showed up unannounced at the White House, interrupting Donald Trump's dinner. They were trying to get him to compromise on this stupid wall. They were trying to talk some sense into him. And it failed. The effort failed. So you know that Lindsey Graham does not believe that the president should have the power of the purse. Neither does Ted Cruz or Ben Sasse. Okay, got that? They literally barged into the White House last night unannounced during dinner, and they all ended up voting for the president's ridiculous, stupid raid of the defense budget. They said, this is according to Lindsey Graham, I said, thank you for meeting with us. Sorry we ruined your dinner. And again, if it would have been me, I would have kicked us out after about 5 minutes. Oh, F it. Let's give it to him. Let's give him the power of the purse. Same thing happened with Thom Tillis. Thom Tillis is not on this list, right? And the reason why he's not on this list is because he just said, oh, F it. You know what I mean? Because Thom Tillis was one of the first four announced that, that said, absolutely not. I will not give the president the power of the purse. He even wrote a freaking op-ed about it, saying that no, there would be zero intellectual honesty in supporting executive overreach by Donald Trump, because he had opposed that sort of thing with President Barack Obama, who never did anything remotely like this. Okay, never. And then today, when, the vote was taken, he flipped. He was like, oh, F it. Same as Cruz, same as Graham, same as Sasse. Tillis also wrote this whole big, long op-ed. Intellectually dishonest. This is not the president's branch of government. Power of the purse rests with Congress. Well, the same can be said of this stupid thing in Yemen, right? We need to actually return to Congress the power to declare war. And take that stinking thing away from the president too. But that's why the Yemen thing was so important to me. But anyway, he writes this whole long op-ed, and then today when they take the vote, he's like, "Okay, I'm with the president. F it." Same thing with Lindsey. Now, here's what you'll lose if Now, of course, this is going to be challenged in the courts. There's going to be lawsuits. There's going to be organizations that bring lawsuits. There's going to be constitutional organizations. There's going to be individuals who have been harmed by this. They're all going to bring lawsuits. And eventually it will wind its way up into the Supreme Court, who I believe have more intellectual honesty than a Thom Tillis. I know that's hard to say. I believe that they care about the Constitution. It is their primary function to do that more than Lindsey Graham does, more than Ben Sass does, more than, freaking Tom Cruise does. And they will tell the president, I'm sorry, but you can't raid the budget. But check out what some of your senators did do today. If you're in Colorado, sorry about the, what is that? It's not the polar vortex. It's got a new name. It's the bomb. What kind of bomb is that? It's a winter bomb. I don't know. Right? Well, if you're there and you're listening because you can't go outside, check this out. This is what your Senator Cory Gardner of Colorado just voted to give Donald Trump the ability to do. Cory Gardner, by voting to let the president raid the defense budget, especially the construction budget, has just put on the chopping block for Colorado 6 different projects that are worth more than $100 million to your state at Buckley and Shriver Air Force bases and Fort Carson. That's what he just said, oh, take it, to the president. Martha McSally of Arizona, who, like Gardner, is facing an election this year, she apparently was given assurances by Donald Trump himself. Well, take that to the bank, Arizona, because she had 7 projects worth tens of millions of dollars at Luke and Davis Monthan Air Force bases, Fort Huachuca, and Camp Navajo, and elsewhere in Arizona. She just gave the president the ability to take that money, although she says he assured me he's not going to take money from our Arizona military projects. Senator David Perdue of Georgia, he just put on the chopping block, Georgia, 11 projects for air traffic control, for cyber protection, and for training facilities at Robins Air Force Base, Fort Gordon, Fort Benning, and elsewhere. You see, this is not without, real life consequences, okay? When your senator says to the president, he can go ahead and steal this money from the military construction budget and $1 billion from personnel payments. Real people get ripped off. Let me tell you that there was a new rifle range for the Marines at Parris Island in South Carolina. That's on the chopping block. A Special Forces Training Center at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That's what Thom Tillis was trying to protect. And then all of a sudden he said, F it. There was a missile interceptor field at Fort Greely, Alaska. Mitch McConnell just put on the chopping block. This is really, truly disgusting, okay? Mitch McConnell of Kentucky. Now, Rand Paul of Kentucky voted not to let this happen, but Mitch McConnell couldn't care less. He decided that a middle school that was going to be built out of the military construction budget for military families at Fort Campbell. And we played you the testimony of those military wives who have mold on their ceiling and termites falling out of their light fixtures and black mold in the utility room where their children go to play with their toys. Right? We played you. Their electricity, their electric stuff is like, frayed, and it catches fire in the middle of the day, And that was their testimony. So all of those improvements, plus a middle school at Fort Campbell, Trump gets to take that money now for a stupid wall that we don't need because he wants to do it faster. Not because there's an actual emergency, because there isn't. Trump is the national emergency. But you know what? He also said, I don't know if you remember this, but he said opioids were a national emergency, right? He said the opioid, right?
Opioid crisis is an emergency, and I'm saying officially right now it is an emergency. It's a national emergency. We're going to spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of money on the opioid crisis.
But you need emergency powers for drugs.
We're going to draw it up, and we're going to make it a national emergency. It is a serious problem, the likes of which we have never had. You know, when I was growing up, they had the LSD and they had certain generations of drugs. There's never been anything like what's happened to this country over the last 4 or 5 years. And I have to say this, in all fairness, this is a worldwide problem, not just a United States.
Whatever. You know, he puts a budget out there that cuts, like $1 trillion from Medicare. And, hundreds of billions of dollars from Medicaid. And, of course, Medicaid provides for substance abuse treatment. Also, grandma in the nursing home, just so you know. But he declared that a national emergency, and yet he won't go into Health and Human Services and take money out for that. No, he has to destroy middle school plans to build a middle school for Fort Campbell, Kentucky. This is so sick. He is, and plus we're running $1 trillion deficits. And you got to remember that these Republicans are so submissive to him that it was a shock to me that 12 of them stood up and said to him, I got these military projects in our backyard, and I'm not giving them up. I'm not giving them up because you got the Party of Free Trade that allows Trump to enter us into these trade wars that have just totally destroyed the soybean farming. And then we had to give them emergency subsidies, right? You got the Law and Order Party blessing him when he attacks the Justice Department, when he tweets out about the crooked FBI. You got the Party of Personal Responsibility, accepting hush money to an adult porn star and violating, the law to do it. You have the Party of Internationalism, right? Supporting him for a fast withdrawal from Syria and Afghanistan without any discussion. You have, Dick Cheney was fuming to Mike Pence. I mean, the whole Republican Party is just like split down the butt crack. But, we had a social compact that, this party professed to, believe in. And now, they're going along with the deep cuts to Medicare, which he said, got to do it, would never cut Medicare, won't cut Social Security. And his budget does all of those things. So I don't know why they're so subservient to him. But at least we peeled off 12 of them today. And it's likely because they have military projects in their backyards that they don't want touched. We have business that cannot be disturbed, right? And that's probably, but the hypocrisy of these people is pretty legendary. It's pretty amazing. Everything that they said they believed in, the religious right and adultery is wrong, and abortion is wrong. And they had the vice chair of the Republican Party, of the Republican National Committee, Elliot Briotti, paying off his mistress to have an abortion, and they couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. I mean, just so unbelievable. So today was sort of interesting to watch 12 Republicans have to go on the record as saying, okay, giving Trump the ability to replace Congress is a bridge too far for me. At least now we know where their bright red line is. Upending the Constitution in this manner. We have got to get the War Powers Act back to Congress where it belongs. We have got to stay. Although I will say, Iraq was a vote, and that didn't work. It just didn't. But that's that. Now, the other news of the day is Beto, right? Beto O'Rourke. He announced for president last night to his local TV station. I think the reporter was very surprised that she was contacted in this manner. And then she put it out there on the Twitter sphere that, he's running. Now, I think that there is this sort of romance going on in Texas, especially because he came so close to beating Ted Cruz, who, by the way, Ted Cruz's strongest argument against Beto is that that's not even his name. That's what Ted Cruz says about Beto O'Rourke. He can't be president because that's not even his name. His name is not Beto. Okay, Raphael. Ted's name is not Ted, it's Raphael. I just, okay. I mean, this is what I'm saying. These people are just so without consistency or commitment to the truth, or they can't make a decent argument to save their lives. And then if they do make the decent argument, they deny that they made the argument because now they're on the other side of the argument. You know, it just doesn't matter. But Beto put out a video. I will play it for you now. This was him announcing for president last night.
Amy and I are happy to share with you that I'm running to serve you as the next president of the United States of America.
Amy looks happy.
This is a defining moment of truth for this country and for every single one of us. The challenges that we face right now, the interconnected crises in our economy, our democracy, and our climate have never been greater. And they will either consume us or they will afford us the greatest opportunity to unleash the genius of the United States of America. In other words, this moment of peril produces perhaps the greatest moment of promise for this country and for everyone inside of it. We can begin by fixing our democracy and ensuring that our government works for everyone and not just for corporations. We can invest in the dignity of those who work and those who seek to work. We can ensure that every single American can see a doctor and be well enough to live to their full potential. And all of us, wherever you live, can acknowledge that if immigration is a problem, it's the best possible problem for this country to have. And we should ensure that there are lawful paths to work, to be with family, and to flee persecution. We can listen to and lift up rural America. We can work on real justice reform and confront the hard truths of slavery and segregation and suppression in these United States of America. We can reassert our global leadership and end these decades-long wars and be there for every woman and man who has served in them. And perhaps most importantly of all, because our very existence depends on it, we can unleash the ingenuity and creativity of millions of Americans who want to ensure that we squarely confront the challenge of climate change before it's too late. This is going to be a positive campaign that seeks to bring out the very best from every single one of us, that seeks to unite a very divided country. We saw the power of this in Texas, where people allowed no difference, however great or however small, to stand between them and divide us, whether it was religion or gender or income or geography. We put our labels and our differences aside to come together for the only thing that matters: the future of this country and the generations that will follow us. Over the coming days, I'm going to travel this country and listen to those who I seek to serve, to understand from your perspective how we can best meet these challenges. On March 30th, I will be back here in El Paso, Texas, and I invite you to join us in a kickoff for this campaign. But even if you cannot be here on March 30th, I still want your help organizing where you live, bringing in friends and family and neighbors to the greatest grassroots campaign this country has ever seen. There's a lot more to come, but I want to leave you with this. The only way for us to live up to the promise of America is to give it our all and to give it for all of us. We are truly now, more than ever, the last great hope of Earth. At this moment of maximum peril and maximum potential, let's show ourselves and those who will succeed us in this great country just who we are and what we can do. Thank you.
You're welcome. What do you think? I don't know what to think. Three-term congressman, that's who he is, from El Paso. Obviously, very cerebral, likes to drive around the country. The last few months, he was on this solo road trip through rural America. And then something about that made him want to be president. And I bet at this point he also wants some really decent Thai food because, been on the road. But I can't find anything that he's really for. He is very charming. I get that. He's charismatic. He's got a funny name. We do well with funny names. We do well with skinny guys with funny names. We do. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.